Today I'll be doing an end of RTA season, summer 2025 account review, and I managed to end up Warlord after playing about 260 games, I think. And a bit about the account, I started it in the middle of Epic Dash 2024, so I think that's about mid-September of last year, and that means I've been through 3 RTA seasons. First season ended up Challenger, just hit Challenger and stopped playing. Second season hit Champion and then stopped playing. And this season I decided to try it a bit harder, played a bit more games, and managed to end up Warlord, which is the new rank. So my final result was 2858 points, which ended up being about rank 2200, I believe. So the cutoff for Warlord this season was, which is rank 3000, was I think about 2800 points, which wasn't that bad honestly. So first up we have ML Luna, who is my fastest and most picked unit this season. I always prioritized picking her first when Boss Barunka was not available, and she has my fastest speed immunity set with health on them. And I felt like she was really good for me because it gave me a turn 1 threat and also made a lot of players play passive against her by picking a cleanser on third pick Ban Protect, which made it feel like I was the aggressor in the draft, so it made me feel like I had a lot more options to pick from. Next up we have ML Tenebria, my second fastest unit and my second main opener. I really only picked her when ML Luna was pre-banned or the opponent had picked her already. I really hate playing with and against this unit because my effectiveness sucks, only 116. And I feel like I couldn't slow her down for more effectiveness because I really needed to contest speed in most of my matches. And when I play against her, I feel like there isn't much I can do if they land all the debuffs. So yeah, I really hate this unit. Now we have ML Choux, who I actually rarely picked despite being one of my fastest units. She even has some of my fastest pieces like this necklace and this chest piece. I just felt like FCC just kills her, and since I don't have FCC, I couldn't pick them together to prevent the counter pick. Also, Solitaria was a thing in a lot of my matches because I prioritize picking Fire Flan a lot, and Solitaria kind of makes this unit a lot weaker as well. And I think Sweet Miracle would have been a lot better than Proof of Valor in the few matches I did pick her in, but I didn't have any more to give her. Same deal with SPP, I really didn't pick her that much unless both ML Tenebria and ML Luna were not open for some reason, and I needed her as a speed contester, or I really needed her passive for the resource reduction. I just felt like she didn't do enough for the way I played, and as a result, I rarely picked her. And this is another unit I rarely picked. I really only remember one game where I picked her, where I went into a young Senya draft, and the opponent took Mort away from me, so I needed another green unit for Senya, who was also decent into Mort, and Gala came to mind. And I'm pretty sure I won that game, fortunately. Other than that game, I really don't remember picking this unit, so... Now we're finally back to a unit I actually picked a lot. I think it was my 5th most picked unit this season. I picked DJB basically every game on 3 Ban Protect when the opponent picked FCC early, and I also always picked him on 3 as my main cleanser against a lot of units like ML Luna and SPP, all those debuffers. In hindsight, I feel like that was kind of a mistake actually, because ML Achates would have been a lot better in a lot of those situations, and I rarely picked Achates because I just loved picking DJB for some reason. But overall, he was a really goated unit for me because his skill 3 let my team cut after the opponent's opener, and I think that won me a lot of games. As for Zio, I wish he had like 5 more speed and 50 more effectiveness because I got resisted a lot on units like ML Achates and even some cheesy resistance armored builds. Also hate the fact that most of the Zio bridges I own rely on him not getting 15%ed as well. Like ML Taeyou needs him to strip the immunity then push back, and Blidica needs him to strip the immunity and land the silence. So there's just so much 15% potential, and I lost a lot of games instantly because of that 15%. I picked Zio when I really needed to take turn 1, mostly against cleavers who didn't pre-ban him. Otherwise, I actually hated picking him because of the chance of him just losing me the game instantly. I actually got a lot of use out of Red Krau to my surprise. I usually picked him as a response to Red Flan or ML Hwayoung because he does almost 20k damage on a Soulburn skill 3 and can one-shot both those units. I think he was also kind of decent into ML Celine as well for me because of his guaranteed stun and the fact he doesn't crit, and the fact Celine has a bit of a hard time killing him because of his high defense. However, ML Elena is kind of good against him, so usually I picked them together so they couldn't pick her against me. I don't think I picked Laia a single time this season, despite me giving her my only maxed Sweet Miracle. I don't think I saw a single Narqual, and when I met units like ML Law, I usually just went Aram or DJB if they didn't have any books to Soulburn, and I always resisted the provoke. I don't think I ever picked Jenua aggressively this season and mostly used him as anti-cleave. I just kept my normal arena guild war build on him, which is kind of good gear honestly. And the speed was actually quite helpful in cutting against seer cut units such as Aeufine or Politis. But Politis kind of dumps on Jenua because her skill 2 strips his immortality once he procs his passive. As I said earlier, I really don't remember picking Achates very much when I should have picked her way more over DJB. Her skill 3 passive CR push is just so strong when you don't have to use it, which constantly allows you to abuse her skill 2 and give your other units a turn. I really don't have much else to say, since I rarely pick this unit. Blooming Blidica, one of my 3-0 bridges. I kind of hate playing her because she feels kind of useless after using her skill 2 and skill 3. But I have no choice but to use her because one of my 0 bridges, who is Red Flan, is usually taken by the opponent or is completely disabled by Solitaria. I don't think I picked Elvira a single time this season, but the only time I would consider picking her is against a unit like ML Taeyou, because otherwise I feel like she just doesn't do enough against any other fighting spirit unit, except maybe young Senya, but I don't think I saw a single opponent pick young Senya this season. And when I see ML Taeyou plus Zio, I usually ban the ML Taeyou. Another unit I don't think I picked a single time this season. I really would only consider picking this unit against BBK, but I think every BBK player always picks Veronica before locking in BBK, so you never get to use her against BBK. So yeah, I really did not use this unit at all. Dilibet was one of my only answers to Blidica this season, that busted ass unit. But she was also kind of awkward because she also needed a CR cut unit like Aeufine as well to deal with her. Aram was usually not an option because of the Blidica abusers taking Aram before picking Blidica. I think Dilibet was also kind of decent into ML Tenebria because although she doesn't get to cleanse the team due to the blocks, her turn cycling becomes kinda insane because of all the debuffs on your team constantly proccing Dilibet's passive. My Politis kind of sucks, but she's still one of the goated units against armored, and I hate armored players. So she probably needed a bit more bulk and a bit more effectiveness, and maybe a bit more speed as well, but you can only use what you have, right? And maybe I should put my plus 21 Abyssal Crown on her instead of Harsetti, because I rarely used my Harsetti, honestly. So there were a few things I could have improved here and there, but overall I think she was still worked out pretty well overall. First of all, my BDom is absolutely horrible. Don't look at the stats. The support you get for free is way better than this. It's like 100 times better than this BDom. But unfortunately, I couldn't use it. But fortunately, I only had to pick this unit against some armored drafts. But the way they always responded to BDom was just picking Judge Kisei. But I still won, like, pretty sure, like 80% of the games I picked her against those armored drafts. Because I also picked young Senya, and she was really clutch. I'll talk about it later when we get to her. Next we have my Belian. Since I don't have 3F, I think her value drops drastically. She's still good in the situation where they rely on a lot of souls, like ML Ludwig comps, but I'm pretty sure all those cleaves, they pre-ban Belian most of the time, so I didn't get to use Belian a single time. But I think she really does suck without 3F, so yeah. And we finally get to Fire Flan, my second most picked unit this season, because I always prioritized her after picking my main opener, which was ML Luna most of the time, because I did not want my opponent to take her, because she is still super strong. And also one of my biggest regrets, because of this artifact. I've lost so many games because I did not proc the attack buff, and I wished the moment she came out last year, I could have bottled this to max instantly and never lost a game because of it. And I feel like it's too late to do it now because it's already been, what, like 7-8 months or so since she's come out, and bottling her now would mean I lost 8 months of value where I didn't bottle her. So what do you guys think? Anyway, I think my gear is kind of shit on her, honestly. She should have way less bulk, and it should be going into attack and some speed, at least 20 more speed, and I'd feel comfortable. But unfortunately, my gear does not allow for that, so this is the best I can do for now. And she is also one of my main Zeo bridges, because I usually pick her on second pick after my main opener. So when I'm forced to play Zeo, she is already one of the bridges I have available for Zeo. So I only have to pick one more after the Zeo on 3, which is usually ML Taeyou, because I feel like he is the strongest Zeo bridge outside of Flan. Next up we have the blue Krau, and his mitigation is really insane with the adamant shield, but unfortunately I think this unit is kind of useless without Holy Sacrifice. And my only Holy Sacrifice is on my Mort, and it's even only at plus 15, so I really stopped using this unit very much after I realized Holy Sac is like 100 times better. So yeah, mid unit. And Aram, the newest limited unit. So she's really good against Blidica, against ML Lua, against Harsetti, and those units, etc. But the problem is, the people who pick those units take Aram before they show those units, so you have to prepare other units to counterpick them anyway. So unfortunately I didn't get to pick her very much, but in the situations where I did get to pick her against those units, she worked really well because those units are basically useless against this unit. And now we have my scuffed Aria with her +0 artifact, because I have no chance to upgrade anything right now. And I think I didn't get to use her a single time because 90% of the player base is going fast with cancer units like Armored, ML Para, Blidica. You just don't get a chance to... I didn't get to see a single chance to use Aria because she's really not playable into those fast comps. Next up we have green Celine, who I think was actually a really good unit because she was good into the newest ML, which is ML Tenebria, and other common units like Light Achates and DJB, for example. But my only issue with her is that my artifact is plus 15, so there's a 25% chance I instantly lose the game, similar with Flan. And the fact that my gear on her is not great, you can see here, like 4 of these pieces are free gear. And yeah, this is like probably one of the best destruction pen sets I have for Celine, unfortunately. Which means even if I proc this 75% attack buff, I'm not killing a lot of the time because of how scuffed my Celine is. Next up we have ML Aria, but I feel like mine does no damage, but when I see other people pick her, she hits like a truck. I don't know if it's because they have pen set and I have HP set, or they have Prayer of Solitude, which I wish I did, and I have this crappy Krau artifact. Or maybe because my crit damage is a bit low, but I don't know how, but they like hit so hard, but mine hits like a wet noodle. So that's why I stopped picking her that much, because I don't know, she just feels like she doesn't do any damage for me, honestly. Next up we have my Ras, who's on a standard protection immunity with Aureus. 90% of the time I pick Ras with Tori, because you know, Ras gives Tori a big shield, blah blah blah. And Tori on the standard torrent pen immunity triple set with her own artifact, because sometimes I don't want to pick her with Raz, or I can't pick her with Raz, so I have to pick her alone, and she cannot survive without her own artifact or another protection knight, which gives her a shield at the start. Usually I only pick Tori when they have a lot of different types of damage mitigation, like ML Ilanav plus FCC for example. So Tori, who does not rely on fixed / additional damage or defense penetration, can cut through those tanky units with just direct damage. I also pick her when the opponent has like 2 or 3 debuffers, and since Tori comes with permanent immunity, she can live through those debuffs along with units like ML Hwayoung for example. And I don't know why Elena is on my favorites, because her build is way too slow to be usable. She needs to be at least like 250 speed maybe. So like way too slow to be usable, so I don't even know why she's here. Now we have ML Taeyou, who is my third Zeo bridge outside of Flan and Blidica. Normally when I pick Zeo on 3, I usually have a Flan locked in on the second pick already. So Successor Taeyou would be my preferred second Zeo bridge. But a lot of the time they have Solitaria locked in on 3 already, which makes my Flan useless. So in that case, I'll have to pick both Taeyou and Blidica on my 4th and 5th pick, so I get at least one Zeo bridge through. I have my LRK on a pure AoE damage mitigation build with Crown of Glory, which also steals souls from the enemy. I'd rather him on protection set if I could, but I don't have any more. And I usually pick him when the opponent picks 2 AoE units like Aeufine and Belian. His passive and Crown of Glory mitigates a lot of damage, and it also makes his skill 3 come up a lot more basically every turn, which does a lot of damage and gives your team constant immunity, which is really nice. And I'm not sure why I have Fire Ravi still in my favorites. I think she is a giga useless unit, and I didn't pick her a single time, and I didn't consider picking her a single time, so yeah. I only ever pick Alencia when I've locked in young Senya on 3 Ban Protect, and only ever against cleave, AoE cleave, such as Bryceria or Ran, but most of the time it's Armid, or against Harsetti obviously. And Alencia is usually my first pick for the front line for young Senya. I have her on more of a HP build other than a crit build, because the more HP she has, the more damage the young Senya S2 passive will proc the enemy team for, usually one-shotting all their squishy units. I actually think my Alencia and young Senya were my highest win rate units with 30 plus games played. Alencia I think was 88% when I checked last time, and young Senya I think was 83% or something like that. So I think my decision making in changing my draft to a young Senya draft was pretty good overall this season. And next we have Blood Moon Haste, who is one of my best anti-cleave units. I have him on counter immunity on Proof of Valor. I used to have him on Celestine, but he dies way too fast against cleave if you don't have Proof of Valor. And I was considering changing him to double HP as well, but my gear with double HP is not good enough, so my counter set is pretty good. That's why I kept him on counter immunity. Then we have Harsetti, who I honestly didn't pick very much. I only really picked her like 3rd, 4th or 5th pick if I was giga dead if they went first, usually against cleave, because I'm not really fast myself, so I only slammed her when I really needed to slow the game down. Then we have my slow resistance BBK, 149 speed, 162% effect res, but the damage is really low. You can see only 3.2k, 342 crit damage. Alexa's Basket, hope for the Gab proc, but overall I didn't really use her much, just mainly for anti-cleave. The resistance did help me here and there. She resisted quite a bit of debuffs and strips. And of course, ML Hwayoung, I usually only picked her when they picked a lot of debuffers. And the two most annoying debuffers right now, ML Luna and Tenebria, both light units, so she's really good against those. And for the stats, I really wish that I could lower the speed a little bit and get a bit more attack, crit damage, and a little bit more HP. Other than that, I think I have some of my best gear on her, so this is the best I can do anyway. And as for Mort, I really only picked him together with young Senya, or if the opponent picked like 2 or more counterattack units like AU Fiend or ML Hwayoung. I really didn't like using him because my gear kind of sucks. You can see he's way too slow. Ideally, he would have like 30 or 40 more speed and have a plus 30 holy sack, so I didn't like getting the 25% chance to not revive. That felt kind of awful. And my new Kid Adin, I really only built her because people in channel 1 kept saying, oh look, new Kid Adin is so OP, you should build her. And I built her. I really only used her against Harsetti and nothing else. And to be honest, she really disappointed because it felt like she only evaded like 50% of the time. Like, I lost so many games because she just couldn't evade the most important hits. And you just ignore this piece. I don't know why I used her when she's an O plus 10 piece. And she is a bit too squishy in my opinion. She should have a bit more defense and health. And my ML Ilanav, originally I had her on a damage set, Destruction Pen, with the Rise of a Monarch or whatever. But I found that she was way too squishy and she died in like 2 or 3 hits from like out of nowhere for some reason. So I decided to change her to a protection immunity set. And I think she worked out a lot better. And finally, I get to my ML Barunka. She was my most prioritized unit to pick every single game. But due to the fact that I pre-banned her every time I was second pick, so the opponent wouldn't get her, I only had a chance to pick her if I was first pick, because I would pre-ban Rinak and Pera instead if I was first pick. But 95% of the time, if I'm first pick, the opponent would ban ML Barunka, except if there were cleavers, then most of the time they would ban Zio and Harsetti. And I found that most of the cleavers don't really care about Barunka. Like, they pick units like strays and stuff and they just completely destroy your whole team anyway. So, but overall I still felt like she was really strong for me. Like, the counters into the Moas did so much damage, and she is also really hard to get rid of. So I really liked picking this unit, and I think she was one of my highest win rate units after young Senya that I picked a lot. So I think she was like 70% win rate overall for me. As for the rest of my units, they are just only built for PvE. I did not consider picking them a single time, anytime. Oh, Schneel, I forgot about Schneel. For DDR, basically. I think I picked him 3 or 4 times in total throughout the season. And I think I had 100% win rate, and I would only pick him against DDR. Sometimes they would pick Harsetti DDR. In that case, I would have most of the time had young Senya locked in already at 3 when I see their Harsetti on 3. And I would pick Schneel as one of my options for the young Senya passive. After going down the rest of my units, I found that I missed out on Abyssal Euphane. I forgot to favorite her for some reason. But she was my 3rd most picked unit this season. I only prioritized her after Luna, Flan. Yeah, those 2 units, Luna and Flan, if Barunka was pre-banned. So I just think her passive CR cut is just so good. But my build is lacking a little bit of damage, so ideally she would be on a destruction set, but since I don't have any good destruction defense sets, this is my next best option, so I'm using this for now. And that marks the end of my end of RTA summer 2025 season account review. I think I forgot to mention at the start of the video, but my account isn't F2P. I buy the monthly packs. I've bought some of the gear packs. I think the ones with 17 speed in them, I think I've bought most of those because I really need the speed in my account. And I've bought a few of those once in a lifetime packs, you know what I mean, for Mystic Medals whenever I needed to pity an ML5 that I really wanted. And yeah, hopefully you learned something. Probably didn't, but hopefully the video helped you in some way, and I'll see you in the next one.